Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to part four, module four of my course, Productization 101: How to Increase Your Profit Margins by 20 to 50% in Your Agency and Consultancy. All right, y'all. So let's just do a quick recap of what we did so far. I'm gonna show the little videos up around me. But all right, so just in case you're just now hopping on, there are a couple of videos that you probably want to catch up on before this one. So the first one we had module one, where we were talking about productization, what it is, why it's important in today's market and in today's field. What are some of the key benefits and a couple of examples of what it might look like. Then in the video two, I talked about the four different levels of productization and scaled services, as I like to call them. So talking about where you're probably at with custom services, then systemized services, products, and then product as a service. Then in the third video, I showed you a really great tool, meeting structure, a workshop that you can actually take and run with your own teams to come up with systemized services and products that you can actually go ahead and start implementing today. And then I gave you the whole blueprint of how you're going to do that. Now, like I said in the video two, the cream of the crop, the the area where you're going to get the most bang for your buck in the long term is actually with the products as a service. Now, this is that level, that's that top right part of the graphic that I showed you before, where you're getting the most technology involved in it. So it's the most complex kind of solutions that you're going to do, but it has the most scalability and the most revenue to come from. This is where you're really going to start competing with the product based companies. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my process of how I actually go about helping clients come up with these products as a service and actually really building out their overall productization or scale up ecosystem. So let me share with y'all. Today I'm saving y'all a little bit from the actual scribbles that I've been doing for all the other videos. This time I actually have some good visuals to share with you. So let's share that screen. All right, so what we have here is a flow chart showing what the process looks like. And there's really two main categories of where the work goes. There's the discovery accelerator, where we're doing a lot of the upfront work. And then there's the implementation of how we're actually implementing the product as a service. And so how we normally start this thing off is we kick things off from the start with a kickoff, or what I like to call a scoping session. So I'll have a workshop where I run with my clients to really understand the landscape of what they're trying to do, who they want to be, what their internal problems are, who their ICP is, or ideal client profile, all of that stuff, right? Next, what we do is I go into discovery research. And this might look different for different clients and different things, but this really involves trying to understand who their customer is, what their customer's needs are, what's currently met by the services there, what's not met. Also looking at a competitive analysis and really understanding what's going on in the space around what you're doing. Then what we do is we actually take all the outputs from that discovery research into what I call a productization strategy sprint. It's a quick week long workshop where we align on what the long term vision is for your business, as well as we come up with a bunch of solutions and ideas of concepts that we could create to build into your business and set you apart. And then we come up with a strategy and roadmap of how we're going to actually implement those things. And now, if you remember from the workshop that I showed you, we actually went through and focused on the things that came up in that top left hand quadrant, because we actually do a similar practice in this strategy sprint where we look at the things that we look at everything based off of the effort and impact. So what happens here is we'll do the same thing and we'll also look at effort and impact. But what's different is that we actually are going to focus on the things that are a little bit high on the effort, but very high with the impact. But that doesn't mean that we don't want to work on those things that are low effort, high impact. So what happens is we actually kind of split these things into a couple different swim lanes. So after that first accelerator with for the productization strategy, then what happens is we have this extra swim lane of implementing those high impact, low effort concepts for implementation. So those things could be happening in concert in parallel to us actually working on the longer term strategies. Which the next thing that we do for those long term high impact high effort things is we're going to do another round of discovery work. It's going to be a shorter stint, but it's more going to be a little bit more focused on that product and that concept and how customers currently go about solving in that space. And then we're going to do some design sprints. So I'm probably gonna share some other videos talking about design sprints about what that is, but just for the sake of understanding it, if you don't know, design sprints are a way to quickly um, create a concept or an idea of what an MVP might look like for your customers, and then getting rapid feedback from them. That way, you're not building in a vacuum. You're building something that you think that you know customers will actually want and use. That way, we don't spend all that time and effort doing development and all of that stuff just to find out that it's not something that clients or customers find even useful. But once we do that and we've gone through a couple iterations, then we'll have a validated MVP that we know there's a need out there for it, and then we can actually go off to actually the next step, which is implementation. Again, meanwhile, while all this stuff is happening, we're implementing the low effort, high impact concepts. So we're building an ecosystem of different things that you can be offering to your customer base and to new clients while the product is being built, while we're building the MVP, right? So we want to focus on the minimum viable product, the smallest bit of value that we can create to get out to the world and start getting customer feedback. And while that's in the works, that's when we'll also be working on the go-to market strategy for that product launch. Then once we have that go-to market strategy and we actually go ahead and launch that product, then our job isn't done there. We should continue to keep working on building out these low effort, high impact concepts while also focusing on regular releases for that main product. That main product is something that we'll continue building on, and the goal there is to get super high retention rates and keep extracting that value and figuring out how that's actually um, supplementing the rest of the business. And so that's pretty much in a nutshell at this point. That's just a cycle that keeps going on, but that's my process in a nutshell, just very high level. Obviously there's a lot of intricate steps in between that of how you actually go about building out your productization strategy and actually putting it out into the world. Now, some things that you might be thinking about is like, all right, so this sounds really good. I want to build this, but how much should this be costing? How much should I be expecting to spend or invest into a productization strategy? Well, so let's say we're talking early on where you're just actually exploring ideas, right? Typically, a company should be spending around 2 to 3% of their annual revenue on exploring new productization ideas. And that's really this area right here. So let's say that you're a 10 mil to 20 mil business. That means you should be spending somewhere from 200,000 to 600,000 on this area right here as far as figuring out um the right vision, the right products, the right problem to solve is really where you want to invest that money there. Once you start getting into implementation and you're actually building out your product as well as building out all the other products and things that you want to do, that's when you want to jump it up and start doing around, I want to say, you want to be spending somewhere from about 10 to 30% of your annual revenue um, on the implementation. Once you're finally implementing and building that into your culture and creating that department and all that kind of stuff. But early on, the initial exploration again should be around that 2 to 3% of your annual revenue, jumping up to about 10 to 30% over here when you're actually building the stuff and ideally making some money off of the actual product itself. And so that's my process and how I think about going and productizing your business and taking those product as a service ideas and bringing them into fruition. All right. If you got any questions, let me know. I believe this is the last part of the module. Let me know if you found any of this helpful, if there's any other subjects you'd like for me to cover. And if you haven't already, hit that like button if you found this valuable, and click subscribe, follow me for more. And I look forward to seeing what amazing products your businesses create. All right, y'all. See ya. Peace.